about the language for the summary part of the news report. There are three language items I would like to draw your attention to. The first one is simple past tense. Remember, when you write a news report, you need to use simple past tense because you are doing a recount. You are telling the sequence of the events. So remember to use the past tense. Let's look at the summary section to learn some past tense. For example, you can see were, W-E-R-E. It is the past tense of verb to be. We also have past perfect tense, had been, burst, listened to, answered. They are all the past tense of their original verb forms. Apart from past tense, you also have to use passive voice. Why we want to use passive voice? Because we want to achieve objective tone. When you write a news report, remember your tone should be objective. You can't be subjective, which means you can't use I. Let's have a look at the passive voice, the example from the summary part. You can see it was believed that. We use this passive voice to achieve objectivity, to make our writing, make our claim, argument sound more objective. Actually, the original sentence of it was believed should be I believed that. However, if we use I, the tone will sound a little bit subjective, 主觀. That's why we don't want to use I believe that. We use it was believed that to replace I believed that. And there are many alternatives to believed. Let's have a look at the alternatives, at the other choices. It was believed. You may use thought, said, stayed, claimed, asserted, maintained, that. And remember, after that, you need to use SVO pattern. So, you can use this pattern to make your writing sound more objective. Then we go to inversion. 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 Okay, there are so many different types of inversion, and this time we look at the so type inversions. Let's look at the examples from the summary part. So worried was their mother that. So after that, you can see the subject and the verb here. You can see I put the so first, then an adjective, then the verb, and the subject. Remember, when we use inversion, 倒裝, the verb must be put before the subject. 動詞要擺喺個主語之前. That's why we can see was. The verb to be was is put before the subject, their mother. And after that, you need to use the SVO patterns. Is that clear? And let me give you the original sentence. The original sentence should start with the subject, their mother. And we have the verb the verb should be was. So worried that, and then SVO pattern. This is the original sentence. However, if we want to change the original sentence to so inversion, remember start with so. Once again, remember to start with so, then adjective, then verb to be, then subject, then that clause. A clause means SVO pattern. So this is the language for recount. If you want to get higher marks for your language, remember to use passive voice pattern and inversion. You can get higher marks for your language. Then we go to the last part of the news report, which is the feelings and reflections. Now remember, okay, we usually have an S after feelings, and we also have an S after reflections. Okay, so remember when you type your answer, don't forget the S. So let's have a look here. You can see even though. Even though, that means although. Even though, although this cover story saddens me. Saddens means made me feel sad, upset, downbeat, despondent, disappointed, sad. So they all negative adjectives. So this part gives you the feelings, tell us the writer's feelings. And after that, you can see it teaches me a lesson. Teaches me a lesson means the story teaches me something meaningful. The story teaches me a message, teaches me moral lesson. Simultaneously means at the same time. And after this sentence, it teaches me a lesson. We know after this sentence, this part should be the reflections. And when we give reflections, we usually start with we should. We should, or we ought to. We should, or we ought to. It's like giving advice. We use them to give advice. I hope you still remember you learned giving advice from the previous lessons. Giving advice is like having reflections. Because you have reflected on your mistakes, then you can give yourself advice. Okay? However, if you want to give negative advice, make sure you use never, or you may say not, N-O-T, which will becomes we should not, or we should never. This one is for negative advice. However, if you give positive advice, you will become we should. So let's have a look at the reflections for this part. We should never take our happiness or joy for granted. Nor should we dismiss our lives on earth as a must. So we should never take our happiness or joy for granted, which means 我哋唔可以將我哋嘅幸福同埋開心係當作理所當然。Okay? We should take the very little time on earth to love and to be loved. This is what we should do. Okay? So this part is the reflection. And remember, when you do the reflection part, make sure you use the simple present tense for this part. Only the feelings and reflections can you use simple present tense? Okay, see you.